all I can do is to remind everyone, China's number one priority after Mao for sure, but maybe even before, but after Mao, their priority has to develop themselves to stop being one of the poorest countries on earth and to become a modern, developed economy. The Chinese have that priority in common with most countries on this planet, in Asia, Africa, Latin America, Eastern Europe, and you name it. Okay? The difference between China and all those other countries is that China has done a better job of doing that than they have. So that China is now a serious economic competitor of the United States. The GDP of the United States, about $24 trillion. The GDP of China, 18. Nobody else is in the race. They are the two horses furthest down the race. That's the reality. The rest is make-believe. These are the two, and the United States is having a hard time because for a century it had no such competitor. The GDP of Russia is $1.5 to $2 trillion, not 24. There is no economic competition from Russia. There never was. That's an illusion of the West needing a dangerous enemy to justify its own problems and how it chose to solve them. Not very admirable behavior, but that's what we got. The Chinese are real. And so maybe what Mr. Mearsheimer means, if he were here with us, and I'd be glad to meet with him if you ever wanted to set that up, would be to talk about whether what he means is that China is something that Russia never was, and that therefore we ought to sit down to work out with China how we are going to live together. I want to remind people that in the history both of the world and of economics, we have often had what are called duopolies. That's not a monopoly, that's one. And it's not an oligopoly, that's several. It's two. It's a duopoly. For example, here in the United States, for a long time, we basically had two automobile companies, General Motors and Ford. That was a duopoly. And I could give you many other industries where things got concentrated, not so there was only one. For example, the American Telephone and Telegraph Company, AT&T, was a monopoly until it was broken up. Then it was an oligopoly, 6 or 7. But it could have been a duopoly with just two. It never got to that point. The automobile industry did. And, I could go on. Well, we have a United States and China. In the past, duopolies have sometimes gone to war against one another. One of them was then destroyed, leaving the other one as a monopoly. Well, it's a little different with the United States and China because we had a monopoly. That was the United States, the empire. Then we gradually saw the emergence of a China to become a duopoly. And now the question is, are they going to go to war and resolve the conflict by going back to one of them, one or the other? Or do we get together to